Hello guys! We're finally back with another server tour here on the SciCraft server. And we got a few things to mention in the beginning. So first of all, Masa, I think you haven't been in the server tour yet. So welcome to
Hello.
the server.
Yeah, no. Thank
To know, I think also hasn't been in one.
Yeah.
So yeah, two of our newest additions to the server. And of course we got a special guest today. That is Rock and Roll for Life.
Hello.
Back there. Hey there, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah.
And
Could also mention that he's a Mojang developer.
That little thing.
not rock rolling, it's the actual one.
Also makes very good CTM maps.
The couple small ones that I made.
I enjoyed that.
Alright, so today's episode will be about our newest quarry. And, well, it's a bit far out, so we'll need to travel a bit, but the travel itself is already worthwhile mentioning. And so let's get to our, well, should we say vehicle? Not quite. Well, our transportation device. So everyone just get on top of the nether roof. Just take any of the elevators on one of the four sides. And yeah, just take the piston bolt where I'm already waiting. There's a bit of rubber banding visually of people, so don't get confused. Just get in the minecart, press the button that Oreo is not standing on, but just seemingly. Whee! And let's get over there. Let me take the next one. Woohoo! Yeah, it's a bit of a weird rubber banding, but hey. So we're going past one of our old tree farms here, our 2x2 spruce tree farm. No longer really operational, but hey, it works. And there we go. We arrive at Santa's workshop for a very specific reason. So maybe XCOM, you want to take over here?
Oh my god, I've never seen this candy house. This is new decorations. This is amazing.
Yeah, so we put this in fairly on short notice. But the whole Christmas theme here actually has a reason. So, yeah, XCOM?
Yeah, I was building this cannon on Christmas just as a present, but the whole present got delayed because the cannon kept blowing up on itself.
Yep. So, well, belated Christmas, maybe like this one. Doesn't matter. But, yeah, the cannon you were already talking about, it's here in the center. And actually there's no TNT very close to us. But, yeah, maybe XCOM, you want to explain what is happening here?
This was a major project by me, Methods Ita, this guy over here, and then a couple other people as well. We managed to build a duplication device that was able to do more and more TNT. Eventually, we got 550 TNT in one spot, and then managed to get a TNT aligned perfectly so that when we use a pearl, shoots us a couple of 100,000 blocks. I think it's like 8,000 blocks diagonally towards the mesa. And I think this project was like the tuber itself was the major part. The TNT, getting the TNT in that one spot was the major part. And then the pearl was just, trivial compared. So the TNT
It still uses a couple interesting mechanics, right? Since we can already see this boat here, which is actually a very crucial ingredient. Maybe you want to briefly mention that?
Test figure, test, I'm not sure, 1.6, I have no idea what those numbers.
137E29.
137E29. Test 137. Test. Figured out that you can put a boat inside of a string, and then it can detect projectiles, because usually projectiles can't be detected by string. And then by putting the boat inside of the string, it sort of makes it detect the projectiles as well. And then you can take the redstone signal from that, and then because of there's otherwise no other way to detect the pearl, so you don't know when to like launch TNT or align it and such. So you need a string to detect the pearl, and then you can align the pearl using pistons.
Yeah, so we should maybe mention that if we would throw the pearl just normally through a tripwire, it would actually collide with the tripwire and you would just get teleported and the pearl is gone. So we need a bit of trickery to actually detect it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's pretty complicated.
Yeah, so maybe I can just show it here. So if you're throwing the pearl just straight up.
Wait, just a second.
Yep.
Let me turn on the Ragu mode on the cannon.
Go away. No, so if you throw it straight up, it's actually the hitbox is passing through the tripwire, but the pearl itself doesn't collide with it. And then it still gets detected due to the boat, which is a bit of a funny thing, because the boat intersects with the block the tripwire's in, but not the tripwire itself. So we sort of have two ingredients that together trigger the detection. And if I'm throwing, maybe someone else wants to try it first. And we'll all have to transition through, but so we can see what's happening on this side. You can see some stuff happening. Now enemy gets locked in. Just so we know when it's safe to use it for the next person. Some faint explosions. And he's gone.
So you said it's 8,000 blocks. How quickly does it transport you that far?
Once the pearl gets launched, it's pretty much instantly. Well, within a few ticks.
No, it's
10 ticks?
Yeah, something like 10 to 15 ticks. Just a heads up, if the cannon fails, just so you know, the TNT sort of launches TNT downwards, propelling it down, and eventually you have 400 TNT right in your face. So you will turn into a
X-controlling everyone here.
Yeah. Jokes aside, don't turn on the margin carpet rule, because it will break the TNT and then you will turn into a fillet. Basically, the TNT will carve you into small slices and turn you into sushi.
Pretty dangerous, but here it's working nicely. So I suggest we all go through and meet again on the other side. So basically, as soon as the glass block retracts, you should be able to throw the next pearl, right?
It should be, yeah.
Right. So, next one. And keep F3 open. Just walk all the way up to the cobble fence and then just straight up. With an ender pearl. Yeah, sometimes the sort of random component of throwing an ender pearl causes you to actually teleport to somewhere in the contraption, but then you can just retry. It's not a big deal. But it's fairly rare. So... well, then I shall be next. So you can see the ender pearl now gets propelled upwards with a bunch of slime blocks. Again, the same trick as with the tripwire. It's intersecting, but not intersecting. And there we go. Oop, now things are glitching, but slowly loading in, I hope. There we are. So, maybe we can see someone arriving in a second. Yep, just there. So it's actually quite impressive. Even though we have so much TNT, we actually cancel all the random components of the ender pearl throw. That we always land on exactly the same spot. So you're always guaranteed to land here on this spot that Masa was now landing. And yeah, it's quite a bit above the nether roof. Of course, we need quite a lot of clearance. That's why we went on top of here. But yeah, it's a pretty impressive system, I would say. Alright. While maybe the rest of everyone's heading over, we have a small piston bolt connected here that leads us to the nether portal, and yeah, I guess we'll all go there and see you on the other side. Well, actually, let's take a look at the...
Yeah, actually, Fox, who isn't here today, our latest member, spent quite some time here decorating this whole place.
Yeah, it's still a bit work in progress, but...
maybe take a look.
Oh yeah, that
oh my god, there's
actually...
decoration on this side as well.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, it actually looks pretty neat. Obviously
He
themed
made
after the mesa.
dinosaurs that used to... Some dragon heads. I love those.
Oh yeah.
Nom nom nom.
And we should also mention that we have a cannon back.
Yeah, of course. We don't want to travel all
So-
that distance manually. And of course, TNT tubing makes it possible to make it somewhat easy to use, because otherwise, well, things get a bit hairy. Wait, there's a minecart stuck. Let's just...
I think that one is not working yet.
no, it should do its job.
Okay.
Whatever. Yeah, we just quickly assembled those piston bolts to have a more convenient access.
I started building them yesterday.
Yeah, what we also have is actually a piston bolt connection to this place.
It's
Yeah.
not finished.
It's not finished, or we can already take a look.
Take a brief
Oreo
look
is
down
just
here.
a moment working on the last
Yeah,
connection.
just fall straight down,
here at the
don't move
bottom.
while falling. There's a slime block below the minecart. So yeah, it's
So
still a
if
bit
you
work
would
in progress.
So if you would update to 1.13, the Enderpearl cannon doesn't work anymore because we use so much TNT duping, and it's almost not affordable to use it anymore with legit TNT. That's why we also have a piston bolt connection.
Yeah,
But this takes a bit longer. It's probably a 10-minute ride just to get back to the Nether
yeah,
hub.
so if you take a look at the 3-screen I still have open here, we're at over 5k in each direction.
Yeah.
So 5.8k on X and 5.2 on Z. Which means, yeah, this is like a 10,000 block ride, essentially. So, yeah, don't want to do that just to quickly get something from the storage or the lights. We traveled quite a bit from the Nether portal, since we still wanted to start out here. And, well, there's two things. One is a movable beacon, well, except for the beacon blocks, which is quite useful if you have to dig such a trench. That's the one thing we need for the quarry to work, so it has a 1 wide clearance on the side, but it also needs quite a bit of a clearance underneath. So we had to make sure we prepare this, well, tunnel, I don't know how you'd call it. So we blew out quite a lot of stuff here, which also means the quarry doesn't mine any diamonds, simply because it doesn't reach low enough. But that's not the main purpose of it. And, well, in order to make this in total 720 blocks wide underground cave, of course we didn't want to dig all of that, so we used a nice little tunnel bore here. And
Should I
maybe-
activate it?
sure, go ahead.
Alright.
So
Yeah,
this
so-
observer here is basically our trigger. It shoots a TNT forward, shoots the second one, and then stops until we trigger it again. Because that way we can actually remove all kind of liquids that appear. So you would just fly across, check if there's some water or lava leaking in. Don't stand up front while TNT is going off. That might be a bit painful. Well, on the other hand, it's gonna be quick. So yeah, in principle, if we find some diamonds here, we also pick them up, but for the most part... there's actually a bunch of diamonds. Yoo-hoo. For the most part, we're just interested in getting the clearance for the quarry in the end. More diamonds. Yay. So yeah, you can just whiz by with a rocket or so. Maybe Rock, you wanna take a shot as well?
Me?
Sure.
Where
It's
do
just,
I?
just the fence gate here. Just come to the front of the thing.
Okay.
So just trigger the fence gate once and enjoy the show.
Whatever you do, don't eat a steak aiming at the fence gate.
Says the guy
That's
who
the enemy.
broke his 13 times.
And so every time we trigger it, it moves a block ahead and we slowly but surely crawl our way through.
So this is just one machine, by the way. Instead of making a 720 wide machine, which would cause issues with the loading, we made 480 wide ones.
Yep.
Just
So these are much
FYI.
easier to keep loaded. You don't run into all kind of issues with that. And the nice thing is you can actually trigger them from both sides. So you can just whiz by with your elytra and a rocket to one side, trigger it, fly over to check for liquids, diamonds, and whatnot, and then trigger it again from the other side. I'm just gonna show it here, so no one trigger from the first side. We push it here, TNT gets duplicated, waits a bit of time, and shoots it to the front.
The wait time is there so it blows up in midair instead of just sitting on the blocks.
Exactly. So it has to blow up in mid-air, obviously, because it needs to make clearance for the tunnel bore itself, which is, well, probably quite obvious. So if it would just blow up somewhere down here, well, like here, of course it wouldn't blow up stuff here on the top, and tunnel bore wouldn't fit through. Alright, so that's the tunnel bore, and next thing now is already taking a look at the actual quarry, and that's quite a monstrosity. So we'll have to fly back, and just to give you an impression of how long this tunnel is, well, you can't see the end. And, well, let's try to get there rather quickly. Actually, the easiest way is to fly up in the trenches. And here you can also see why we built this quarry. Since this is cutting straight through a very long mesa biome, we get a lot of Terra-Cutter from that. So basically everything here to the left is going to be mined by this quarry. And yeah, it's gonna take quite a while. So the quarry, as we mentioned, is 720 blocks wide, and we should see it in a bit. So there's a bit of other biomes in between. And in total, it's about 3.6 kilometers long that we are gonna excavate here.
But just a small project.
Yeah, fairly small. So that's gonna give us a couple perimeters for future farms, if we remove the bit of stone underneath. But yeah, here it's the main
Jokes
purpose.
aside, it's actually the largest project we've ever been working on.
Yeah,
We spent 300 hours on it. Yeah.
Yeah, apart from the WeChat project though.
Oh yeah.
Alright, let's
Yeah.
maybe start on the roof, because that's actually a vital part. It looks like just a bulky roof here. So it's a fairly thick platform, and it actually has to be 3 thick. There's an important reason to that. And yeah, it has here a bunch of observers and pistons, so basically if we push it from the end, the entire thing will be pushed. And what's happening here, and why we have 3 layers, is that the observer-piston combination is always sort of staggered. So they're always at different places in the different layers, and we don't move them all at the same time, because when one of these things here is moving, then everything turns into block 36, which is transparent. So basically if we had a single layer, all the light would go through, we get all the light updates underneath, and that's essentially killing the server, and it's quite likely that it actually triggers the watchdog and shoots it down.
Yeah,
So-
so while I designed this in creative, I made a mistake once, and basically we went from light level 0 to 15, crashed the server almost immediately.
Yeah, so this thing here is
So-
probably the biggest lag reducer that
Yeah.
one can imagine. Now, if you have 2 of these layers, then of course you have the problem that the place where the pistons are, so pistons are transparent, and the block in front of pistons is air, so it's also transparent. Which means 2 layers are not sufficient to block it out reliably. But if you have 3 layers, we can just make it happen that at least only very little light, if the middle layer moves, there could be a little bit of light going through. But yeah, in general, we just reduce the light updates by as much as possible. And that's why we need those 3 layers here, which seem a bit bulky, but are definitely a crucial ingredient. And yeah, if you take a look back here, that's the entire thing to push it. And, well, you can't see the end here, but it's 720 blocks wide, so yeah. You can figure that this is a bit more than the render distance. Right, Mango, you want to take us downstairs?
Should we fly over to the main control and launch it?
Sure. It's actually not running
Okay.
yet, so we have a bit more performance. It's not
Yeah.
super laggy on the server. It's just as wide as we could go in order to still run at roughly 50 TPS.
20.
Sorry, yeah, 50 milliseconds per tick, so 20 ticks per second. And just to give you an impression what this Trossi looks like. Yeah, now we are arriving on the other
So it-
side.
We placed 420,000 blocks by hand in total for this quarry. It was about 90,000 slime blocks, 60,000 observers, 45,000 pistons, 30,000 sticky pistons, and 12,000 redstone blocks. It
And about
was
140,000, 120,000
Concrete.
like concrete.
So yeah,
Oh,
it's quite some effort to build this.
So here's
Also,
already one thing visible of the quarry, like the shield that it pushes ahead. So it doesn't always mine the block in front of itself right away, but actually keeps pushing them. So it sort of also removes liquids on the go. But of course we need to remove spawners and chests and the like, which are non-movable and cannot be mined.
Alright, shall we launch it?
Sure.
Yeah, also, at the moment, it won't run at 20 TPS because we have so many people on the server.
Yeah, at the moment it would be a bit hard. Actually, right now you can see it's still running at almost
quite
20
decent.
TPS.
There's so many people.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
now it's going
56
down a bit.
MSBT is quite decent.
Yeah, it's not
This is
too
actually
bad.
the laggiest part. For some reason, when the grabber goes down, it's more laggy than when it goes up.
Yeah. So yeah, you can see these grabbers here flying down. They're probably, yeah. So there you can see where some blocks are still sticking
Spectator
out.
mode, Rego would actually recommend that.
Sorry?
Try spectator mode,
Oh,
Rego,
yeah.
it's
Um,
easy to show what's going on.
Let's try that. Maybe Rock, you want to check it as well?
Sure.
So let's just head into spectator mode so we can actually get a view, because it's quite difficult to move around in survival in order to see it. And, oops. Yeah, there we go. So you can see the grabbers, they're actually fairly simple. And what's happening here? So you can see that there's always a piston pushing stuff ahead, and that's actually when it goes down, it's pushing the shield ahead. So only if it can't push it any further, then it will afterwards take out a block from this thing and transport it up. So there's basically a second sticky piston that pulls out the block afterwards if it doesn't get pushed, which is somewhere back here. And yeah, then there's a piston here pushing stuff up. And for that reason, since with a single piston per slice here, it can actually push up in principle 12 blocks, but yeah, for the system on top here we need one block to spare, so to say, so it's 11 blocks that it takes out each time. Then it goes here into a buffer storage, and the emerald blocks, actually they also get pushed down again, but they never get mined, so it's always this one additional block of leeway that we need.
It's just a little flaw, and there was no nice workaround for this.
Yep. And then here, well, stuff gets pulled and pushed a bit. In the end, it gets pushed into this block stream, which gets prolonged. And next to the end stone, we have a bunch of TNT tubers, so they're actually shooting in an alternating way, so they can be fast enough. Again, TNT gets primed to just the right timing, and it explodes right when here these blocks are being pushed to the front. So a nice thing about that is that block 36 has no blast resistance, so it's very reliable in destroying the blocks, and also the drop rate is actually 100% at that point. So the only loss we could have is if we have a small ledge like over here, and a block would land on top of it, then of course it could get blown up by the next round of TNT.
But we're definitely above 99% efficiency.
Yep. So then we have here this white water stream, and it's actually a movable water stream, which is quite impressive, I think. And the way this works is that simply, well, the last block here when the quarry moves is being destroyed, but we create new source blocks here from this little pool, and the pool itself is also being extended from here this frosted ice. So we have a bunch of armor stands with frostwalker boots. And yeah, well, they freeze the ice back here. When we pull out one of the frosted ice blocks, it turns into water. The armor stand turns it into frosted ice again. So basically here we would have 2 water sources, since the front one here would also turn into water. When we, well, here with the sticky piston, pull one out after that's moved.
Yeah, the one here next to the slime block is also melted. So basically, you pull away this frosted ice, and since the one here that doesn't get moved, that only has one single frosted ice next to it, it melts immediately. Frosted ice always needs 2 frosted ice next to it in order to stay intact. So that's why we got 2 water sources, and then we just got them spraying, and then we basically have 4 water in total, and then we freeze them all again. Just move one forward.
Exactly. That way we basically prolong this frosted ice piece here. Then here at the front, whenever this pool of water moves, we push down 2 of these frosted ice blocks, which also then instantly turn into water at the bottom. But then, of course, the pool has moved, so we again have a 2x2, which forms source blocks. And, well, that prolongs the water stream here. Yeah, that thingy is then just used to collect all the items that are falling down from the TNT tubers. And in the end, they fall into this little channel here, which we've built up all the way towards the storage. We should probably check that one out in a bit. So yeah, that's pretty much how we get all the items. Mango, you got anything else?
Should we give some numbers, how much items we get?
Yeah, go ahead.
Alright, so the total areas we said will be 720 by 3,600, and in total we'll get 85 million cobble from it, then 5 million of the rare stone types, so andesite, diorite, and granite, 6 million of this normal terracotta, which can be colored later, about 2.5 million dirt, 700,000 gold and iron ore, so much gold ore because it's a mesa biome. What else? Over 1 million coal ore, and yeah, the different terracotta types. Quite a lot of stuff, definitely. So on average, it's about 130,000 items per hour on average.
Well, have fun digging that much.
Yeah, it's faster than you can dig, for sure. Faster than a few people can dig, actually.
Yep. Since I also just went downstairs, we have here a bunch of slabs, and they're all bottom slabs. And that's simply in case a gravity block falls down, or for example the grabber removes a block here at the very bottom, but the one above is a gravel block, then this could mess things up. And, well, therefore, we basically have here these slabs. So if stuff falls down, it just lands on the slab, pops out as an item, and despawns at some point. Some of the other gravity blocks also despawn on top, where they don't get pushed fully, but they get pushed in an entity form and stay on in between of 2 blocks, so at some point they also just pop off once the cooldown runs out. But yeah, there can sometimes be really unfortunate configurations that actually cause some problems. Maybe Mango, you want to explain those?
We have actually 3 situations that can break the quarry, but are so unlikely that it's okay if the quarry breaks every few hundred blocks. The first situation is that we have, I'm sure probably don't have this case right now, that we have a gravity block on top of a rail from a mine shaft. That could break the quarry. It's a bit complicated. I'm not sure if you should go into much detail. But basically, the problem is that we pull out the gravity block, and because the rail doesn't have a collision box, we push it back in, and then we exceed the push limit. So that's something we didn't consider. It actually took us quite a while to figure this out. But this is something that could stop the quarry. One way to fix this is just to go in every single mine shaft and remove rails, or we actually have a system that stops the quarry if something goes wrong. Second situation is you have a lot of rails in a row, and then a water source directly at the back of those rails could also break the quarry because the shield kind of gets eroded. We only have rails, and at some point the water could flow through. This could also break the quarry. Since it's not liquid proof, the water would update some observers. And the third situation is that you get some little bit of erosion in ocean biomes, as you can see here. the 12 block shield is also getting weakened. And in some cases, could actually happen that the water breaks through on one side. But it's really unlikely so far. It only happened once. And that's at the beginning of the quarry when we didn't have the 12 block shield. But it seems like in most cases this should be stable.
Yeah. So far
Right,
we
so
had to
there's
fix
some
it a
little
few
flaws
times, but
in the overworld. We wouldn't have any of those issues in the Nether or even the end dimension.
so the
It's
fixes are
definitely
fairly easy as well.
Yeah.
It's really not a huge deal. Now stuff is barely loading in for me.
Yeah, it's definitely hardest to make a quarry in the overworld. There's just so much different stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, so where I'm right now, this seemingly useless slime block line here. So it's just like
they're
3
all
slime
regular?
blocks, 2 observers, and 2 pistons each time. They actually have quite an important role. And yeah, so these are basically required to be pushed ahead by the grabbers, but if one of the grabbers gets stuck due to exceeding the push limit, then it won't push its corresponding element here ahead. And that way we can actually detect if things get stuck.
Yeah. So the first thing that always breaks is the grabber if it gets stuck, and if one of those fails to push one of those, it stops the quarry automatically. Actually, we're just at the best moment. The quarry will be pushed ahead in a few seconds. So yeah,
Maybe let's
Maybe we should take a
try
look
to
at
get
that.
to the side. Yeah, it's a bit stuttery
it's not
here.
super spectacular, but
Yeah, I mean it's a 1 block move.
yeah. Just the TNT has to work a little bit, maybe 20 seconds, and then
Also, might be worth it to stand on the item stream to see just like how diverse the item stream
oh yeah, we
is.
should do that. Okay, now any second. There we go. Quarry is getting pushed forward.
This is by far the laggiest part.
Yeah, so right now you can see server is struggling a bit, but it's still moderately keeping up, given that there's all the items and so many players online. And now you can see the machine here. Yep, you could just see the safety line was pushed, so everything is fine.
That's the failsafe. If one of the grabbers would get stuck, we wouldn't get a signal here, and the quarry shuts off.
Yeah, so it's basically an update line. So whenever the stuff gets pushed, of course the observers here power the slime blocks that are diagonally of the pistons, which means they will only notice that they are being powered, or powered via quasi-connectivity, if they actually get an update themselves, and that happens via the back piston. So we just have to sort of give an update at the very beginning of the line, at the right time, and then it propagates through and we can actually detect it here, and then cause everything to be moved. And otherwise we just shut down the quarry automatically. We can fix the broken grabber, which is not that much effort, it's a matter of a couple minutes, and then we can just restart it. Alright.
You guys not have to worry about item despawning with how long these water streams are?
It's actually not a big deal, so usually it's just a matter of how much we can load. Because ice streams are fairly quick, so we just get out of loading range, and we actually have a storage every couple blocks. And
What actually went wrong here?
alright, we're back. We just had to, well, make use of a backup because someone broke a couple slime blocks. No clue whom, but yeah, someone just broke some slime blocks out here in the logic, and yeah, well, caused some issues.
Against popular belief, we don't integrate additional optional slime blocks in our builds.
Yeah, so, well, all of these blocks are actually necessary. All of these couple 100,000. And yeah, against these things, also our safety switch here can't help. Anyways, quarry is running again, just so we can also see the rest of it. I already mentioned this item channel here. So here everything's flowing back, and we can just follow the water stream towards a small temporary storage array. And take a look at that one. So like every about 1,000 blocks we have one of these storages. So you can see here it comes from the other direction. And well, it's just how much we can easily load with a few bots on the server. So yeah, small item elevator because we built it too high. This thing here,
The XP filter.
yeah, is actually an XP filter. So items are coming in and they just get the right momentum to slip through between these fences, but XP balls are actually larger in terms of their collision box. So they don't fit through here, and they actually go into lava. So we get rid of them and save about 1 millisecond per tick, just by getting rid of them a bit faster than waiting for them to despawn. So you can see quarries here are quite in a distance. Then there's a small item elevator. This part here...
Brilliantly built 1 block too high.
Yeah, so this part here, you can see it doesn't suck up anything, at least not the iron block that just went by. And this is purely to filter out cobblestone. So we actually need this entire length. Not all the time, but every once in a while it actually goes up to the last filter here. And these are actually double speed filters. So they, basically they work at twice the normal hopper speed. They just shoot everything into this dropper, which dispenses it into lava. And that way we simply get rid of all the cobblestone, because we can easily make a cobble gen, so no reason to keep it. And everything we then pick up over here, so with all these well, not really filters, but yeah, with all these hoppers, this is only for all the remaining items, so all the terracotta, ores, dirt, and whatever comes in. They get put into shulker boxes just underneath here. And this is actually a mixed shulker box filler, so if I manage to take a look at one of these, there's all kind of items in there. And as soon as they're full, meaning, can you see it here? Yeah. So via this hopper, stuff actually backlogs into the chest here. Then this comparator will detect it and cause the entire system to cycle, meaning it breaks the shulker box and dispenses a new one from these dispensers. Then the shulker box, well, it lands on the slab, gets picked up by the hoppers. And yeah, that's the chest array, which is all filled with shulker boxes. Well, at least as far as there's redstone blocks behind, so we just disable hoppers whenever they are no longer needed. Or when they're full. And as you can see, there's quite a bit of stuff being stored. But this is actually our second storage already. So we have another one which is a bit smaller, because we built it in the beginning. And yeah, that one's also well filled.
Oh, no, we also got items incoming.
Oh, nice. So we can actually see it. So you can see it. We deliberately slow down the items here, so we don't have ice all the way. Only here along the transitions. That's just to make it more reliable for the sorters here to pick up stuff. And Oreo is again sabotaging. Throwing stuff on the wrong side of the current. Well, as long as it's not cobblestone, it's not a big deal. Yeah, as long as it's not cobblestone, it's not a big deal, because it will just cycle around here and then get aligned again. But yeah, you can see that every once in a while stuff gets picked up. I hope. Currently it's a bit slowish. Now we could see some andesite being collected. So at the moment the item streams are fairly moderate. They can get much stronger.
Yeah, we just started a quarry again.
Yeah. So here you can see there's a lot of stuff coming in, but also cobblestone makes it a fair way. And take a look here. Not quite yet. Let's see where there's still some cobblestone. Here you can see it's ticking out at double the normal speed. But now, when the quarry is really active, it will sort of keep on piling up until the very end here, where we also need the last sorter. And you can see the system here in action, so maybe you can actually see a shulker box being broken. I think they've just been cycled, so might be a bit hard. No, here these might just be about to back up.
Yeah, we'll take a while, Drago.
Yeah, okay, now this will take now a bit. But yeah, you can see the hopper here is already backing up some items, and as soon as they reach the chest and don't go straight through, so if this hopper here feeds in, the bottom one picks it out before this comparator can realize it, and yeah, that way it gets broken. So with
Also, what's notable is we don't sort anything other than cobblestone out. We'll, like, this is temporary, we'll sort it later in a better way.
Exactly.
So maybe can we talk about what we're gonna do? So we will sort all the boxes in one central storage. Not entirely sure where this will be built. Maybe here, maybe closer to spawn, but all the items will be sorted. They won't be kept here.
Yeah, so this is really just to get the items out
Just
of
to
the way.
deal with it temporarily.
Exactly, and then
Yeah.
we can come up with a better solution later on. Maybe I'm just gonna stand here in the item stream so you can get an impression of what's whizzing by. If I would pick something up, it seems to just go by too fast. But I'm not picking up anything? That's odd. Maybe here it works better. Okay, something seems to be really odd with the server. I'm somehow not picking up
Well,
any
quarry is
items.
running.
Yeah, might be a reason. So yeah, with that many people being online, Rock, if you should set you back to survival, just let me know.
Yeah, I'm in a safe place.
Alright. So yeah, that's the
You got
story.
any questions so far?
Far too many.
Well, then pick one.
I'd have to think about it. I'm trying to process like how massive and impressive all of this is, and how a lot of this was designed. Because I'm learning my way around the technical side of things since I've kind of got moved in with the Mojang team. But there's still a lot that I'm not as knowledgeable on that I need to learn more of. So you expect someone who's going to be working on this stuff to actually know how it all works?
Not really.
Well, I guess the complexity is just too high at some point with so many options. So yeah.
It's good. I think the complexity is in all of it together. I think if it's just breaking it down piece by piece, you eventually get how everything works.
Yeah. Alright, so I would say coming towards the end, we should take another flight over the perimeter that it already mined.
Oh yeah.
We should also mention it takes, if the server's running at full speed, which it usually does, it takes about 18 to 20 minutes per slice. So maybe 20 minutes if it's sometimes not fully up to speed. Yeah, one can see the lag that the Elytra kicks in quite late. Okay, yeah, things don't render properly, but if we just start from the quarry, maybe give you the F3 screen in addition. So we start at minus 43,200. And this quarry has been running for how long now?
3-4 weeks. That has had some downtime as well.
Yeah, so it's not super long. But just going through this huge perimeter here.
I think we started it about a month ago, so on the 20th of July.
Yeah, roundabout. So now we are already 1,000 blocks in. And now we can just see the wall.
How many
So-
deaths went into the making of this?
Sorry?
I said, were any deaths go into the making of this?
Yes.
Quite a few, I guess.
The tunnel boss mainly.
Oh yeah, they are quite dangerous.
Really? I never died once.
Well, depends on whom you ask, but
Okay.
I think I got killed by Regu twice because he activated while I was still still in the mining diamonds or whatever.
you know, gotta add a bit of difficulty. So
Yeah,
Well-
the main threat on the server is Regu anyway, so
Also, the leaves are just for scaffolding when we were building the quarry.
Yeah, that was from the building process.
exactly. So
Yeah,
leaves
my-
are kind of beneficial there because they are non-movable, so they don't stick to anything, and the flying machine just crushes through them because, well, if you try to move them, they get destroyed.
Yeah,
So yeah, for flying machines that scale, definitely the scaffolding block of choice. And that's why you see all the leaves here.
Hmm.
So you can really imagine how much scaffolding one needs for this stuff. Of course, some parts are interrupted with a flying machine then left. But yeah, it's a pretty huge thing. Alright, so any last questions? Any last comments?
No, looks pretty straightforward. It does things and stuff happens.
I have a question.
Hmm?
Who's going to volunteer transporting all these items back to spawn?
A flying machine with stacked TNT,
You?
stacked chest minecarts.
Can you maybe build a cannon?
Maybe a llama porter.
Yes.
Or a flying machine with stacked chest minecarts.
Yeah, fill
Who
up the
knows?
armors and shoot them to spawn. That could work.
Oh yeah, an even bigger TNT cannon. Would be a way of transport. Well, so if there's no other issue, so yeah, over there we can see the other storage. Maybe we just take a very quick look over there. So it's again the same principle. A huge cobble sorter and some for the rest of the items. And yeah, so this until where is it filled? Somewhere around here. Yeah, so that's the last chest. So everything here to the right up to this chest is completely filled with shulker boxes, and that's only about 500 blocks worth of contents, and cobblestone already removed. So quite a bit of stuff. And yeah, in total 720 wide, 3.6 thousand blocks long. That's gonna give us probably all the Terra-Cutter that we are gonna need in the nearby future. Not forever though, I fear. Because, yeah, you might have noticed our projects tend to get larger and larger, so
That's what I've noticed.
could very well happen that at some point we're actually through these supplies and we need to take another run.
I mean, even looking at the giant machine itself, I saw plenty of Terra-Cutter that was already in there.
Yeah, a bit of it. I mean, glazed Terra-Cutter definitely is a very useful thing for these kind of things, so definitely worth it.
Sadly, what is worth noting though, sadly in 13 there is no TNT duping, so next quarry is going to be mining with pickaxes. Yay!
Yeah.
I don't know how that happened.
And yeah, of course, glazed Terra-Cutter is also worth hunger. Alright, so with that, I think we're through. And yeah, thanks everyone for watching, thanks everyone for joining. Thanks Rock for being our guest today.
Yeah, it was cool.
Hope you had some fun on this tour.
It's it was fun to see the construction of this as on a live stream and stuff, but actually being in game and being able to fly around and see it is makes it far more impressive.
Yeah. Right, so with that, bye everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Hi.
Bye-bye.
Oh yeah, that's where I was actually picking up some items.
So somebody
Great
must
XCOM.
have broken it.
Oh.